Well, General Motors could potentially be one of the largest IPOs in U.S. history. Our next guest says it's essential that the administration gets this very high-profile IPO right. She is Linda Killian, a principal and portfolio manager at Renaissance Capital. That's an independent research and investment management firm that focuses only on IPOs. And Linda's joining us now from the company's headquarters in Greenwich, Connecticut. Linda, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, first of all, let's talk about sort of your roadmap for what GM should do before this IPO, although obviously it doesn't have much more time. But you talk about several different things that GM should be doing, including much more transparency. Have you heard anything from the company yet that indicates that we're going to get more information than it's already released?
Well, they have to release a lot of information. One of the good things about IPOs, as far as investors are concerned, is that the disclosure documentation that companies are required to provide to the Securities and Exchange Commission, and thus to investors, is the most detailed that they will ever have to provide to the investing public. So there's going to be a lot to look at.
Well, but I guess the question is, are we going to learn? One of the things that you really want to know is, what is the government going to do with its remaining stake? What is its involvement in the company's management, and what will it be going forward? Do you think we're going to get those kinds of questions answered?
Well, we better, because ultimately investors have to willingly step up to the plate and write checks for the IPO. This IPO market is a buyer's market. There's no question about it. There's no question when 70% of all IPOs year to date have to slash their prices from the proposed offering prices, that buyers are ruling the day. When buyers sit down and listen to GM's management, they are going to want to know how much continuing involvement the U.S. government is going to have with the decision-making on cars, on a lot of things. Further, they are going to want to know what the succession plans are going to be post Mr. Whitaker's resignation, because it's at least our understanding that the new CEO, who, by the way, is the fourth CEO in 2 years, does not intend to be there long term.
Linda, I'm curious, though, even despite these kinds of questions, you look at the latest profit report, it does show improvement, and you look at the size of the planned IPO. Do you think that even if General Motors, even in a buyer's market, doesn't address these questions adequately, that there's still going to be a lot of demand for the IPO?
There could very well be. If the stock market starts improving, that certainly will help the underlying sale. But GM is not a clear buy simply because there are questions about whether GM is going to be able to regain its former perch as number one. Although they have been able to string two good profitable quarters together, in their release last week, they also indicated that the second half was going to be a little bit more subdued, and General Motors is still losing market share. However, one of the things that would make this IPO appealing is if General Motors and the government price it at an appealing price, so that investors have, in effect, insurance that the stock price will go up post-IPO.
And what would be an appealing price?
Well, we haven't seen all the documentation. We don't exactly know what the outlook would be, but it would certainly be at a very significant discount to Ford.
I'm also curious, one of the other outstanding issues was the question of succession. Now we have that question answered with Dan Akerson now as the new CEO. Is that something that you're happy with as a potential investor?
Well, it's mixed. He's had a very, very good track record at some of the telecommunications companies where he was CEO, but his background is largely financial. From my understanding, the issues that investors are raising is it better to have someone with a financial background in charge, or would investors be better served with someone with an automotive background?
All right. Well, Linda, unfortunately, we're out of time, but obviously we're eagerly awaiting more details on the GM IPO, and we'll find out what you think of it when we get them. Linda Killian of Renaissance Capital, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.